striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Good afternoon, officers. I'm Joyce. Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM. I'm glad to see you here.
Like steel, there is strength there. If she wanted, she could sink her nails deep into your skin.
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief, even. This is a tactic. It happens quicker than a shooting star. But did the lieutenant just wink at you?
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
You seem rich. Can I have some money?
Is what you want to say, but it isn't that easy, is it?
What? Why not?
Look at that lady. Take a gander. Squint your eyes, bub.
What nice fabrics.
Why, yes. Tucked away under that sturdy green raincoat, almost rustic in its simplicity, a silk shirt and matching scarf around her gentle throat, while dull orange pearls hang from her earlobes, red from the cold. Her light green eyes scan you, full of knowledge and worry, wealth and all its possibilities. These are the kind eyes of the rich man that seem to say everything is possible, within reason. Now
Yeah,
look
so?
at you, you misery-clad simian, barely able to tie your own laces. Your armpits are lakes. A scythe of booze precedes you. Your hair sticks to your forehead, and your underwear feels uncomfortable. You're poor, poor as balls. You can't ask this person for money. You're too...
I'm a goddamn working man. I'm not ashamed to shake this leash for some money.
You think your little communism protects you from this feeling? No. The more demeaning it is to grovel at her feet.
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of assistance, please don't hesitate to ask.
Say it!
I am sorry. It just doesn't come out of your mouth. What does is surprisingly eloquent, really. The last one, not the first three. Those are ape speak.
Money?
Excuse me? I didn't hear you. Did you say money?
No, I did. Let's talk about something else.
Of course.
What can you tell me about this strike?
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets.
Wait, what if I want to hear about trade secrets?
First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments that gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus.
The octopus that straddles Revachon, the Emergencies Act, is the cornerstone of post-war Revachon, inseparable from the world it created.
An octopus? I will slay it!
Good luck is only kept in place by the vested interests of half the civilized world, including your own.
What the ma'am means is that the Emergencies Act and the RCM both get their authority from the coalition government.
You'd be shooting yourself in the foot, in other words.
Fine.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike.
What is your role in this, precisely?
I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place.
Wait, she just admitted that the lynching and the strike are connected.
Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter 20 racist behemoth blocking the gates.
Oh, you mean Measurehead?
Yes, Jean-Luc Measurehead.
So the strikes is connected to the lynching.
Yes, I believe there is a connection, but that's a subject for later.
Well, how were the talks going before the lynching?
Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
Ludicrous even. It's meant.
The scabs at the gate, did you put them there?
The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock come to plead for work where the union refuses to?
Don't let her answer it herself.
Let's call them strike breakers. You put them there, right?
If these strike breakers were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not yet, at least.
It's implied. She's open to discussing this matter with you at a later occasion.
What happened to this Gaumont?
Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see.
Okay then.
Yes. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union.
What were the demands?
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes, every worker, a member of the board.
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
I don't know what to think about that.
Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group.
Yeah, workers can't be kings. The king is king.
That may well be. It's not up to me to decide who is king, but as negotiations go, it's not a swell start.
What are you going to do?
I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the boyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out.
Tell me about this union boss and Mr. Clare.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first.
Really?
Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
If you were to prick it with something sharp, you could see it oozing out. A knife, maybe? No, a rapier.
You sound like you're about to take a rapier to him.
Oh heavens no. We get along just fine. Yet now that you mention it, I can't stop imagining that black treacle just dribbling down his double chin.
Is he that bad?
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar.
Wait, there's 2 of him?
Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues.
What about the union itself outside the Brothers Clare?
The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organized labor at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The Brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is...
Basically a socialist mob.
Thank you for being candid. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the wolf always hungers.
One more thing. You said something happened in the elections?
I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore. Or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
This forewoman, her name?
This forewoman. Her name?
Sadly, the company records do not even give a name. She's just forewoman in private correspondence. Holly. I don't even know if it's a sir or given name. And I don't have access to the Union's files.
Some kind of extortion, probably.
Indeed. The company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. It was a Union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
That's all I need here. Let's change the topic.
Of course. How else can I help?
You're on a boat!
Why, yes I am.
Do you have a license for the boat?
Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license. Sly fox, you're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this.
Not a lot of people on boats, are there?
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around?
What do you mean, archipelago?
I mean, we are on Le Caillou, are we not?
Technically, the neighboring Ozone and Fas Alamer island groups are archipelagos, while La Caillou, by contrast, is a single fertile landmass, the 4th largest island in the world. It is not an archipelago.
Wait, I thought La Caillou was one big island.
Okay, if you want to get technical. The point is, we're all on islands here, and sail is still the most expedient way to get from one island to another. Especially when you're in a hurry to resolve a strike.
Still, I haven't seen anyone else sail a boat around here.
I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands.
You need to make this lady admit she's only riding around on this boat because she's rich.
Yes, I do.
Before you do, it will be pertinent to ask other questions. Gather more info on this boat of hers.
Does she have a name?
The boat? No. It is called Cor de Leyte 19 because that's the type of sloop it is.
Okay, but what kind of boat is it?
It's a pleasure craft. A 19 pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business.
How do you like it?
My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
Let's talk about the economics of this boat you're on.
Oh my, the E word. You mean to say that it's a symbol of conspicuous consumption? That I'm a member of the ruling class?
Yes, exactly.
Detective, may I remind you that Mrs. Messier is a professional negotiator?
Then what does that say? Does it say docking reserved for residents of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A? 33A? This old proletarian haunt here. As I said, plenty of people drive boats, of all social strata.
It's the eel's heels.
She takes a sip.
It's gonna happen.
Okay.
Something is about to happen in here.
Of course.
Nothing happens for quite a while.
They will come from my head. The arguments.
As they do.
The thoughts happen inside his brain.
It doesn't.
My. It's as if there's a tiny spinner on the side of his head and he's reeling thoughts out.
Except he isn't.
A thought is going to come out of my head and into my mouth, and I will say it.
Of course.
Oh. I may have fucked myself.
Despair creeps into you, getting fat on your weakness. Whatever noble intentions you once had as a police officer, it's eating them all up now. You're still coming up with sentences. That's a step up from total annihilation, right?
Jesus Christ. I'm seriously running out of shits to give. Let corpses hang on trees. I'm quitting. Fuck you.
Fuck me? Please leave the rage you have for after we finish the investigation.
Nothing you can say would make you feel any better now. Cop gives up the detective genre for social realism. Another police officer resigned from the RCM following a nervous breakdown. He now lives under a bridge, drinking and occasionally throwing excrement at passers-by, shouting, "I never loved that woman." When asked to comment, former colleagues objected to the theory that his psychological disintegration was precipitated by his wife leaving him. "It's because the Furrows lost that match," said Captain Ptolemy Price, once the man's superior officer. "It's because he couldn't get a big gun from acquisitions, and anyway, police work really burns you out after a while," Satellite Officer Jean-Vic Mayer, the deranged former cop's partner, commented. Sergeant Mac Torson, another former colleague, did not propose any theories, merely saying, "Whatever happened to him wasn't about birds. He got fucked, that's all."
Well, I guess I died. That could have gone a little better. Not gonna lie. 22, 22, 21. Oh, am I all the way back there? Oh, no! Oh, no! Well, shit. I can't believe the game didn't, autosave that entire time. This might be a bit. I'm desperately trying to get down these stairs. Okay, well now I've learned that I need to save every once in a while. Like, every After every conversation or something.
Is repulsive.
Lovely stuff I get to see another 2 times. I need to get shit together. That's happening later. Also, that tree. What's up with that tree? That is weird. Man, it's been almost an hour, and I get to go through all
Hello
that
again,
all over
officer.
again.
Sure. Go
Very
easy on that.
nice. I mean, to be absolutely fair, the game did warn me. So this isn't me saying that the game's at fault for this bullshit. That was
he
entirely
still is,
on me.
Looking right through you. With his pneumonia only makes it the second time. Not so much. When the vomiting
Yeah!
is done, tears.
Fucking metal as hell! Yeah!
I'm sorry.
There she stands. There's something you're missing. Because you know each other. She's been talking to you so openly because you've talked before.
Oh, new dialogue up. Wake up, honey. New dialogue just dropped. Hang on. So you know me? We've met before.
Yes, I stand in this spot all the time. You've been running around all week without your shirt on, sir, apologizing to everyone. I don't really understand what you've done wrong. Of
Did I ever talk to you?
You stopped by
Oops.
a few times. You certainly look better than the last time I saw you.
What do you mean better? I look like shit.
Yeah, but you don't have party eyes anymore.
Party eyes. Yes, of course. That makes sense.
Party eyes?
You know, like a cat in the dark, all big and wide-eyed. It certainly looks odd on a man.
The swiveling eyes of a loony drug addict. That is what she meant. You were probably gurning too. Fuck yeah. You should get some party eyes right now. Snap those sequins on you, boy.
Does that mean I've been partaking in narcotics?
Oh, baby, that's not what you have to worry about. Worry about the important thing.
So why didn't you tell me you knew me to begin with?
I didn't know I had to do that.
I don't really like this detective deduction game anymore.
I guess we can change the subject, sir. I didn't mean to bring you down.
These are probably gonna bug me until I click on all of them then, huh? Okay. We'll save real quick like.
A striking.
And we'll get
Good
through all of
afternoon.
this
Joyce
as quickly as
L.
we
Messer.
can.
What we...
There was a touch of discomfort there. She wants to merely represent.
So what do they do?
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things, and that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
The Wild Pines Group is one of the original Revacholian Indo tribes. Companies awarded royal monopolies by the king, the suzerain himself, centuries ago. The king is long gone, but several of the Indo tribes remain.
How much money does Wild Pines have?
I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue.
The money I owe is so much less than that.
Yes, past a certain point, numbers begin to seem imaginary, but they are quite real for the 72,000 employees who depend on Wild Pines for their paychecks. A conglomerate the size of Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving and growing, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It is a tremendous responsibility.
Where does Wild Pines get all these billions?
They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Isolas 250 years ago, when Pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lomantang on behalf of the suzerain. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it.
It probably helps us start out with a royal monopoly.
You know more than you let on. Certainly it helped, but most of the original Indo tribes have failed, or been absorbed. To survive, Wild Pines had to grow and adapt. No suzerain did that.
What does such a huge system want with a place like this?
You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners? Who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo?
8% of all the cargo in the world. That's quite the endeavor indeed.
There are no minor cogs in the system. Each terminal must be accounted for, lest the entire system break. Every hiccup in such a system means thousands lose their jobs, the world over. I'm here to assure that doesn't happen.
Okay, so I can save in the middle of a conversation. No, I can't. Never mind. I can quit in the middle of a conversation.
You need to make this lady admit she's only right.
Why?
Why what? Stop thinking. Take her down.
It'll come off like I'm envious. And I'm not.
You're not? Okay then. Just keep on admiring the boat then. Unburdened by envy.
Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
How curious. Why is that, Detective?
Remember when my partner told you I recently suffered from an unusual medical episode? My lost badge is related to that.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode?
I could have eaten it for all I know. I don't remember anything. This world, this city, nothing.
Oh dear. Some kind of encephalopathic amnesia. I don't even know how to respond. I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine what you gain by faking such a condition.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement.
I'll find it somehow. Let's talk about something else until I do.
Of course. But before we do, officers, let me be perfectly clear. The situation is extremely volatile. The sooner we can speak about this lynching business, the better for all of us.
Thank you. That's all for now.
Of course, Detective. Take care.
Guillaume Lemillion. Bad news. Guillaume Lemillion did not become a cop. In 38, he went on a tour to the Sinyao province in Safre, where he died of autoerotic asphyxiation.
Kinky.
His body was found hanging from a decorative dragon tree in his junior suite, amid drug paraphernalia, unwholesome objects, and the Sylvia Trainer single, Wonderland, skipping in the background. And yes, you can take this as a metaphor for Revachol in the 30s, and also as a warning.
All psych learning caps raised. Pain threshold increased. That's pretty good. Wild Pines, Field, Coupery, Tricentennial, Villiers, and Lasselle. Names of Revengolian Indo tribes spring into your head, set loose at the mention of Wild Pines. Royal monopolies, octopuses, and swordfish, most of them gone now. YBP, Expanders, St. Baptiste, Brightest Star, LUM, Resplendent, East Insulindic, Welter, and Alcacet. But isn't one missing? Wait, no. There were only 14. Why do you feel like there was a 15th Indo tribe? This is a lot of stuff. I'd really like to have more, Volition? Is that what I want? Yes, Volition is what I want. So that that doesn't happen again.